Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys for Friday, May 8th, Ian Cameron, and we've got Jared Allen. We haven't talked to him in a while. He's been a guest, I think, a couple of times now on the show in the past. He is still working currently as a skills coach, training and development. Obviously has been staying on top of watching NHL and the Stanley Cup playoffs as well, so it'd be great to get his thoughts, his opinions, and his takes on what we've seen here so far in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But Jared, good to have you back on the show. How are you? Things good?
Things are good. Good to be back. Yeah, busy, but busy's better than bored, so no complaints on my end.
No doubt. And, we always get new viewers and new listeners to this show every month, every week, every year. So in case no one saw your previous appearances, just let our audience know again what you're doing right now. You're working as a skills coach in hockey development.
Yeah, so during the winter, I have my own skill development business with minor hockey players and junior players and different junior teams. And then I also work for Kamloops Minor Hockey, overseeing their coaching. And then in the summers, I'm swamped with 20 plus NHL clients working on skill development in the summers, and loving that. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no question. It's like it's kind of like me. I love what I do. You love what you do. It's kind of that thing where it feels like it's not all. Does there days you feel like you're dragging a bit, but there's not many of those. You feel invigorated, inspired, energized every day doing what you do.
The hardest days, I love what I do all the time, but the moments that I don't is when it's a parent who wants it more than their kid, and you're working with kids that don't have the drive to want to get better and think they know everything and don't put the effort in to learn. And so those for me, you recognize who those people are, and then you stop working with them, because I'd rather spend my time doing something else than investing in someone who doesn't care on their own. So that's the only time you really have any I don't feel like doing this moments.
Well, yeah, you got to have the person that you're dealing with committing to being better, to working to get better, 100%. It's definitely a part of the process. Stanley Cup, just before we get into last night's game, we'll recap Carolina-Philly, and then we'll preview tonight's two games. We got Buffalo-Montreal, game 2 in Buffalo. Canadians looking to bounce back. Sabres leading that series 1-0. And, of course, we got Vegas and Anaheim, game 3 of that series, as the scene shifts to the Honda Center in Anaheim for game 3 tonight. We'll look back first at Carolina-Philly, but even before that, Jared, just overall from what you've seen so far in the Stanley Cup playoffs, players you want to mention, teams you want to mention, things that have really stuck out to you when you watch. And you've got that analytical eye, obviously, given the fact that you're coaching and developing on a regular basis, working as a skills coach. So your input is great to have on this show. Just some of the things that have stuck out to you in the playoffs so far.
First round, I thought was a lot of good hockey. Obviously, Minnesota-Dallas was all those games going overtime, and then still seeing the compete factor and the pace that was going into every overtime game was exciting. It's too bad Dallas is out already, because they're an exciting team to watch. And then you go to Anaheim and Edmonton, and I just felt that Anaheim played a game of keep away against Edmonton. I felt like Edmonton couldn't create anything, and everybody's talking about the injuries on the Oilers, but there's far more to it than that. I think the Oilers don't play predictable hockey with one another, and they're in a system where when the two studs are in the lineup, the coach doesn't play the depth players, and I think that's impactful, because when you look at the stretch there at the end of the season with Edmonton not having Draisaitl in the lineup, how much better the team played. And I'm not saying Draisaitl's not a difference maker, because obviously I'd take any of those guys, but just allowing the depth players to feel more of a part of it and contribute and add value to their roles allowed Edmonton to win 5 of their last 6 games or whatever it was. So there's lots of exciting hockey. Obviously, I'm going to give a shout out to Kamloops kid Logan Stankoven. he's a guy who I'm fortunate to work with sometimes in the summers. And
That's so freaking cool, Jared. We love Logan Stankoven. I love him. Our viewers and listeners love him. I think a lot of them love him because they've been cashing winning bets on him throughout the playoffs. Goal props, assist props, point props, shots on goal props until last night. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second.
It's funny because he's a guy, if you gave him a drill that a U9 player was doing, he'd find something to improve on in it because he's just so driven and humble. So to see his success, and he's a playoff player. He's a guy that competes all the time and wants to show up, and so I got to give a lot of credit to him and what he's doing. And then outside of that, it's the obvious. Like Colorado's just a team that's to be reckoned with. I think if they play the way they can all the time, they're going to be tough to squeeze 4 games out of, like, get them to lose 4 games in a series, but. Anything can happen. It's been fun hockey. It's been fast hockey. It's new teams this year. It's been exciting to watch. And I'll give another shout out to another Kamloops kid I'm fortunate to work with, and Josh Doan, who had himself.
We love him too. I mean, I bullshit you not. I mean, really. And actually, we've got a pair of brothers, Matt and Ryan Robinson. They've been guests on this show routinely. Ryan Robinson actually played with Josh Doan for a bit at Arizona State, in college hockey, and they are very close friends with Josh Doan, and they always talk up how, the friends they are of him and what they think of him as a person, as a player. Obviously, it's not very surprising what kind of person he is when you think of whose father is, Shane Doan.
Yeah. He's the exact same person. He's there. You need more of those guys in the league again, and to see a young guy that has that same personality as his dad is very rare nowadays. I think him and Stankoven are both actually in that same bubble for earning the respect of the veterans instead of just demanding it. They go out and play and earn it, and then they're well received, and they have the attitude to want to get better every day. So they've been difference makers on both their teams, and I think it says a lot about the groups and how their teams are doing, because I think Buffalo and Carolina both brought in like-minded players and started to buy into each other and believe in each other, and that's why they're having success right now in the playoffs.
Well, you know what? I've got things to say about Anaheim. You brought them up. Obviously, they're on the slate tonight, taking on Vegas, and Josh Doan, will talk about him when we talk Buffalo, so I'll save it for then, but certainly got a lot to say about both of them for sure. We got Robert in our chat rhyming off your resume here. You're basically, of course, Elite Prospects, very well-known website. You can pretty much look up any hockey player, even if they've only played like rec hockey or college hockey or just very, very minor pro hockey. You're seeing their bio there pretty much on the site. But yes, Jared was on the show a couple of times, and the very first time we had him on, former NHL draft pick, played overseas as well. That was one of the best episodes we've done, because you were very upright, transparent about the journey that you went through. So I encourage you, if you didn't see it, it was probably a couple of years ago, go back in the archives. It's still up on the Ice Guys YouTube channel. It was a great interview the first time we had Jared on, going into the in-depth story of his career, and it was definitely a great conversation. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. I don't have much to say, Jared, about Carolina, Philadelphia, that series. It's just Carolina's a better team, deeper team.
I think, when you watch, Carolina plays hard around the nets. They compete for pucks to score goals. They don't always look for the pretty ones. I find that Philly's not creating any traffic around the net. They're getting scoring chances. They're not making Frederik Andersen move. Like, a lot of their scoring chances last night, Konechny and Martone, like, they got those breakaway opportunities or partial breakaway opportunities, but they're just relying on their shot without having any fake or change of angle to get Freddie moving. So he's a big goalie and he positions himself well. So you have to have the perfect shot if you're going to beat him. Unless you start changing angles and have more traffic around the net, then it'll allow Philly to create. Because I think if Philly starts and gets a couple right off the get-go, because at the start of the game they were creating a lot of chances, but then once Carolina got ahead 2-1 there, they just started to run with it again. But Philly's got to find a way to create traffic and change the angle to get Freddie moving instead of letting them, play positionally and technical.
You're right. They got to get traffic in front of. Carolina's just masters at that, right? The one and done. You get your one shot. They make sure the goalie sees it, and then they get possession and they keep the puck. I mean, we talk about how often majority of Carolina's games, they have more of the puck than their opponent. It's just like wash, rinse, repeat. They're just masters at that. The man-to-man defensive system, which is not often, common, but Rod Brindamore runs it here with Carolina. He's got them to buy in, and they execute it at such a high level. And that's why year in and year out, they're making deep runs into the Stanley Cup playoffs and look like they're going to get to another Eastern Conference final. But you flip it around, Jared, and a couple of those chances go in early for Philadelphia last night, because again, there's some bad puck luck involved here for the Flyers. Like Travis Konechny stands out. He had a breakaway in game 2 in overtime, doesn't even hit the net, doesn't even force Freddie Anderson to make a save. He has a great chance early in game 3 last night, hits the post. Porter Martone, he hits the post in the first period. And then, of course, Carolina gets the first goal late in the first period, and it kind of takes a lot of wind out of the building, out of the sails in the building of the team, on the bench. And you could tell that was just a turning point, that the Philadelphia Flyers, again, to your point, they just weren't able to finish some of those early chances. What do you see when you see Porter Martone? Because I made this observation, put it up on Twitter. He looks like he's a cut above the rest of some of these Flyers already. And this guy is just a handful of games into his NHL career, and not even 20 years old yet. And he looks completely at home and comfortable in his surroundings.
Yeah, I think it's kudos to him, like to step into the league at the point he did, and then be a difference maker, especially in that first round. Like he's got an elite level shot. His release and how he hides it and can pick a corner is unreal. He's a big body. He competes hard. There was an opportunity last night where he had a 2-on-0. I'd like to see him stop in front of the net. I know that in my day I gave a lot of goals away by turning, and if I had to just stop there. I'm not saying the puck didn't go his way, but those are the little things Philly needs. But he's there.
I remember Brendan Gallagher scoring a goal for Montreal against Tampa in that first round series, doing exactly what you wanted Porter Martone to do in that instance. Just go to the net, stop there, and look for that puck.
I don't think it would have happened for him there because the puck kicked out the other way, but still it creates those habits. But he's a guy, I think he's the driver for that team up front right now. He brings young energy. The guys look to him to produce, but he's playing. It kind of reminds me of my first NHL camp in a sense, where you don't play with any pressure. There's the pressure is going to grow on him as the playoffs go longer, because he has been such a force with his production that he'll probably start to feel it a little bit more now that they're down 2-0. But he was playing carefree and just working. And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure Talkett's in his ear just saying, like, hey, just play. Don't worry. And when you have that mentality, just play and not worry about mistakes and work hard to fix them, then you're going to have success.
Yeah, no doubt. And you could tell there was frustration setting in. I mean, Carolina, once again, when they get the lead, they play such a sound brand of defensive hockey. They just don't give you much. And I've said this all along, their puck pressure all over the ice is incredible. Like, you think there's just a little smidget of time and space available when you have the puck, especially in the offensive zone. They just close the gap. They close it right away. They're in the lane. Yeah,
it's such a hard skill, and it's if you can get your team to buy into that. Florida did it. That's why they beat Edmonton. They were unbelievable on the walls, and they take time and space away. Like if you can take skilled players' time and space away, there's nothing can get accomplished, and there's no one doing it better than Carolina right now, and it's fun to see.
It's fun to see. It is fun to see. I know David, who is a frequent guest on our show. He's a big Hurricanes fan from Raleigh, North Kakalaki, season ticket holder as well. I know he's very happy, very excited right now with what he's seeing. And they have a chance to make some history, Carolina. They are 7-0 to start the playoffs. No team since the best-of-7 format came into play in 1987 in the NHL. No team has started the playoffs with back-to-back sweeps. No team has started 8-0. Carolina's got a chance to make some history. Game 4 on Saturday in Philadelphia if they close it out. And I wouldn't put it past them to do it, because I think you don't think the Hurricane players, Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven, Jackson Blake, Sebastian Aho, Svechnikov, the rest of them, that they're not going to be aware of this stat, that no team has started the playoffs 8-0 since the best-of-7 format came into effect 1987. They got a chance to make some history here, and I think they might be incentivized to try to get it done on Saturday, Jared, and finish it off.
I think so. I think they're playing. I think they got a loose mindset right now. Like they know what their job is, but they're having fun together. They're not putting extra pressure on themselves. They're just reminding each other, like when we play the way we can play, we play that Hurricanes hockey, then we can get things done and not to stress and not to worry. And it's I think it's a big shout out to Brindamore on what he's doing with that group by being a guy that I'm sure when they skate, he skates with them. Like he's not a boss, he's a leader, and that's why they have the success they have. And I mean, even Taylor Hall, look what he's doing in these playoffs when a lot of people would never expected that from him. He's being a leader too. So it's everybody stepping up to be a force, and they're dangerous.
Yeah, they are. They're absolutely, and they're playing great hockey. And like I said, what's great about last night is finally, because look, let's not kid ourselves. The best line in the playoffs so far for Carolina has been Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven, and Jackson Blake. They've been outstanding. But last night they were finally held in check, a little bit. And finally, the usual top line, Aho, Svechnikov, they got things going a little bit for Carolina. So that's what's great about that team. When one line isn't going on a particular night, another line will step up and be able to get the job done for them. So there's no question. I love Rod Brindamore as a head coach. Don't get me wrong, but he seems to be at the refs every call that goes against Carolina. I've noticed that. Sometimes it's warranted. Sometimes I'm on his side. I totally agree with some of them, but some of them it's like, Rod, come on, you really going to complain about that one? Like, boy, oh boy, oh boy. But he's been going after the refs quite a bit, Jared, here so far in the playoffs. Some I agree with, some I don't.
No, I hear you, but sometimes it's hard to take that passion away from somebody, and he was always a guy that was the ultimate competitor. So, as much as I'm with you, I don't agree with it all the time. That's who he is, and the boys know he's fighting for him in the best capacity he can, and so I guess I can't really knock it if it's the boys are feeding off of it.
Well, that's because he got the NBA or the NHL version of an NBA technical foul last night. He got teed up by the refs for a 2-minute unsportsmanlike for flapping his gums too much about some of the calls last night. But hey, it's Rod Brind'Amour. He's an intense son of a gun. If you watched him play, and I'm old enough, you're old enough, we're in our 40s, we're old enough. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
We remember when he was in the NHL, and you'd want him on your team. That is the bottom line. So, like I said, Carolina in complete control. We'll see if they finish it off Saturday in Game 4, and if they do, they'd make some history. Let's turn to tonight's games. Jared, we got Game 2, East second round, and to me, this is the most sexy series of the second round. This is the one where I would say, it's pretty. It's just Montreal, Buffalo, Adams division. From back in the day, late '80s, early '90s. That's the last time they met in the playoffs, too, if I'm not mistaken. Back when I think Vinny Damphousse, was on the Habs at that time. You saw, Rob Ray and a young Alex Mogilny and some of those players on the Sabres. That's the last time they met, but it's just great because Montreal, we know, one of the best fan bases in the world in the NHL, and Buffalo, when they're good and you give them a reason to come out to the building, that's a great fan base too, and we're seeing it right now. So two fast teams, two skilled teams, and two teams that have pretty solid and better than you think defense and obviously capable goaltending. So makes for a great series. We got Buffalo minus 135, home favorites tonight in Game 2, 5.5 the total, shaded to the over. Buffalo up 1-0 in the series. Before I get my thoughts on the game tonight, Game 2, I just want, because we got Jared here, we got to ask him just conceptual stuff, with that hockey mind of his. Cole Caulfield, the deep dive, what's happening there? What are you seeing with him? Obviously, this is a guy that's a 50-goal scorer that has struggled to find the back of the net and bring that same production here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Is it what they're doing to him? Is it something that he's got to do to make an adjustment to get off the schneid and get going offensively? Because the one thing I'll say, Jared, about the Canadians is they got through a very tough 7-game series with Tampa Bay, with that top line in particular, especially Suzuki, and even more so Caulfield, not doing a whole lot offensively. I don't know if they're going to get through the Buffalo Sabres, with that same devoid of production, especially from their 50-goal scorer, Cole Caulfield. What are you seeing from him so far?
I'm seeing a young guy that probably put expectations on that the train was just going to keep rolling and goals are going to keep coming, and now they're not, and the playoffs are a whole different ball game. It's a lot harder to produce at that stage of the game, but I think I used to, when I'd be in a scoring slump, I'd talk to Darryl Belfry every once in a while. And he always says when skilled guys get in scoring slumps, they try and get the perfect goal. Like, you try and take it in a little bit higher, closer to the net. You try and hit that perfect little pocket instead of just getting pucks on net. And he I think Montreal's problem right now is they're so skilled. And, I talked about changing angles with Philly earlier, but Montreal's adding too many extra ingredients to an already good meal is how I like to say it. So they're over stick handling in certain situations. So there was an opportunity for Slavkovsky to get a shot off. He already did the one, change the angle, and then he did it a second time, and then guy got stick on puck. So I think with Caulfield, it's do what got you your 50. Get shots on net, go to the areas, and trust that it'll come. But Montreal is not shooting enough. They're trying to do everything perfect, and I think if they got enough skill that if they start just getting pucks around the net and creating quick offensive opportunities instead of trying to add too much, then they'll make a series of it. But I mean, Buffalo's got big body defensemen that compete old school. They got good sticks. They're big frames. They play physical. They do a good job of taking your time and space away, and the forwards are collectively working hard to get back. So it's for Montreal. They need to find ways to be predictable towards each other. Talk after every shift. See what's going on. What they see with their line matchups and how they can free up space and create those opportunities. Because right now it looks like they're just banking on what got them to that point. And coaches, everybody's reviewing video all the time, so you have to find ways to pick the other team apart. Because I find that with Buffalo, they're so opportunistic too that they play exciting, but they can scramble. And if you can pick apart those mistakes they make and take advantage of your opportunities, then they'll make a series of it.
Well, I'll put some numbers, Jared, everything you said about Cole Caulfield, and it's just to really paint the picture even more about the difference and the struggles in the playoffs producing compared to the regular season. In the regular season, he had 18.1 shot attempts and in the playoffs, that's down to 12.5. So what that tells you is, time and space is getting closed now. Playoffs, obviously, teams are digging in defensively. Teams are doing their homework even more about how to shut down some of the best players. So a big drop in shot attempts per game for Cole Caulfield. 9.5 scoring chances in the regular season per game. 5.22 in the playoffs. So that's a significant drop. Slot shots on net. 5.78 the regular season. 2.81 in the playoffs. That's a big difference. The middle, the guts of the ice, as we call it, the middle of the ice and those prime looks. A lot of his stuff has been in the face-off dot, periphery, boards area. We've seen a lot of his chances come from those areas. The percentage of attempts from the slot, 41.9 in the playoffs compared to 52.1 in the regular season. And obviously expected goals less than 0.7 compared to 1.4. In the regular season. And when he has had chances, I would say most of them, to the outside, because he hasn't had as many slot attempts and slot opportunities. I would say that he's missed the net a lot. And I think it's wearing on him. And the more it wears on him, the more he knows I'm 50-goal scorer. I was, one of the biggest reasons for our team was a good offensive team. And now the puck's not going in. When it doesn't, for a guy that's got confidence and is a goal scorer and knows he's got to score goals because that's his role. That's his best role on the team. That's probably why you're trying to be too fine with the shot now, because you're feeling it from a confidence standpoint, that it's shaken a little bit. And now those one-timers that you're just blistering and you're deadly accurate with it during the season, when you're feeling it, you're in the groove, you're in the zone, you got it rolling. Now you don't, and you're just trying to be too fine with it, and you're missing. I think that's playing a role too, Jared, with Cole.
Oh, big time. It's the hardest part about any sport or anything in general is the mental side of it. And I think he's
mental side and confidence. It's everything. Yep.
And it can change like that. You hope he's not paying attention to media articles and all that stuff, and he's just focusing on his game. And because the reality is, if he just plays relaxed and does his thing, those are going to start going in. And but if he holds that stick too tight and he's stressing that if I don't score on this one, then it's on me if we lose again or whatnot, instead of just, I'll get my chances. And, I always try to tell myself if a goalie made a save, even if they're the best goalie in the world, that they got lucky. So you have to you have to have that trust in your abilities, even at this point in the season. And I think he'll figure it out. I wouldn't be surprised if he does bury one tonight and kind of show his teammates that he's going to make a difference.
So as far as the game goes, obviously Buffalo took game one. I loved over 5.5 in game one because the way I analyzed that game, and look, it was 4-2 in the second, and we didn't get, I don't think we had a goal in the third period, but it had already gone over 5.5 goals. It ended 4-2 Buffalo in game one. But a reason why I like the over in game one, because I thought, similar to me liking the over in game one of Minnesota, Colorado, it was going to be a culture shock defensively a bit for both teams. Because for Minnesota, Colorado, I said Minnesota faced a Dallas team. We now know, by the way, Mikko Rantanen played through a torn MCL, and I knew he wasn't 100% with the way he played in that series for the Stars. Minnesota got a Dallas team that struggled at even strength to produce, had Mikko Rantanen, and a bunch of Harley was playing through a freaking broken foot too. I mean, it was a bunch of stars. So there were several players on Dallas that couldn't play at 100%, especially offensively, because of the injuries. And Minnesota, kind of feasted on that. Colorado was going to be especially in game one, was going to just be a huge, much tougher challenge defensively. And it proved that way. But on the flip side, I thought Colorado coming off Los Angeles, that's a team that's never going to scare you offensively this year. You shut down Kempe, for LA, you're in pretty good shape, and Panarin. And other than that, they're an erratic offensive team at best. I thought going from LA to Minnesota was going to be a bit of a culture shock defensively for Colorado. And sure enough, what did we see, Jared, in that first game? 15 goals. Now, I didn't think we'd see 15 goals. I was only open for 6. And obviously we got that 9-6 for Colorado. And that's the same thinking I went with for Montreal Buffalo, that Buffalo's coming off Boston. You can't tell me Montreal is not a tougher offensive challenge than Boston. There's just faster team and move the puck better. Boston, not so much. And I even flipped it around to the other side where Montreal going from Tampa to Buffalo. Tampa's a slower team than Buffalo. Buffalo actually plays at a faster clip to me than Tampa Bay. People would think Tampa Bay, all the skill, all the speed. Well, their speed quotient, in my mind, Jared, when I watch the Lightning, it's dropped the last couple of years. They've become more of a plottering, a clunker team, I would say. And I thought Buffalo was just going to be faster, move the puck faster. And you could see their rush game just in one game for Buffalo felt like it was much more dangerous than what Tampa Bay was offering for Montreal in the first round. So I just thought it would be a defensive challenge right out of the chute for both teams in game one. And it kind of ended up being that way. There was a lot of open ice there in game one. One thing we know about Montreal is they've been a good bounce back team. They have not lost 2 in a row here in the playoffs so far. They're perfect 3-0 off a loss. And one thing that's very interesting about Montreal is they've scored the first goal of the game after each of their losses so far here in the playoffs. And I kind of think this is a zigzag theory type of series. We say that in the wagering circles. The zigzag theory, to me, only works in a competitive series when you think both teams are pretty evenly matched. And that's just taking the team that lost the previous game in the next game. I think that theory could work here because I see this as a back and forth series. Don't forget, that's exactly how Montreal Tampa Bay played out. It was just back and forth. It was Montreal game 1, Tampa game 2, Montreal game 3, Tampa game 4. It was just back and forth through the 7 games. I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be it's a close series. It's 2 good teams. It's a punch counter punch type of series. And I expect Montreal to be a lot better here tonight than they were in game 1. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to win, but I do think they'll be better than they were in game 1. Maybe there's a little bit of a factor, too, of the emotional hangover element coming off the 7 games against Tampa Bay. Not easy to turn around and adjust to a brand new series and a brand new opponent that quickly. So I'm going to go with Montreal first goal, first period. Montreal goal in the first period, which you can get in that minus 140 range. And I'm going to take Montreal here plus 115. I think they'll even up this series. They've been good off a loss here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Perfect 3-0 off a loss. And let's not forget, even with the game 1 home win for Buffalo, Buffalo played their best hockey in the Boston series on the road. Didn't always play great here at KeyBank Center. So I think you're going to see a step-up performance from Montreal. I'll take them as a small dog here, plus 115. I think I lean over 5.5. I don't like it as much as the last game where I really like the over. I think both teams may tighten up a little bit here tonight. But the fact remains, 10 of the last 11 meetings between the Canadiens and Sabres have had at least 6 goals. So that's a pretty strong sample size 10 of the last 11 have had at least 6. So for that reason, I'm willing to come back to the over 5.5 here as well. Jared, how do you see it for game 2, Canadian Sabres?
Oof. Obviously being a supporter of Josh, I'd like to see him win, but they're two teams that are very excited just to be where they're at right now. People didn't have Buffalo in the playoffs at the start of the season. They had Montreal kind of clawing their way in there. Everybody's talking about the future of both these teams. So I think you're right in that it's going to be another, +5 game just because of the excitement. And I don't think that these young players know how to to kind of reel it in a little bit and tighten up as much as, the veteran teams do. But I think you're right. I do think Montreal takes this one. I think Dobesh is going to have a bounce back game. I think he's not used to letting in that many. He's been pretty solid all playoffs and wants to continue to prove himself. So I'm with you. I think it's going to be a long series. I think it's going to kind of go back and forth. And I do think that Montreal takes it tonight.
Yeah, Montreal as well. I want to speak about Josh Doan too, because he's someone, and our viewers and listeners are in the same boat. I mean, goal props, assist props, point props. I mean, we've definitely had those in our betting portfolio a lot this year when it comes to Josh Doan, and we love watching this kid play. I love that line that they've got going with him and Zach Benson, and at times it's been Josh Norris, at times it's been Noah Ostlund on that line for Buffalo, but it's always been Doan and Benson. Those two have always been on that third line, and the way they play the game, those two. I mean, Benson will get in your face. He'll drive you nuts. He'll put on his work boots, his hard hat. He'll win puck battles, and nobody exemplifies that more too than Josh Doan. I mean, this guy's work rate, work ethic, compete level, just battle level, win puck battles, do all the little things, go to the front of the net, stop at the front of the net, which I know probably makes Jared smile when he sees Josh Doan do that. He's such a smart player too. His dad's a tremendous career, obviously, Shane Doan, so we shouldn't be that surprised, but still, I'm in awe of just how smart, cerebral, just efficient, great as far as the forecheck. Has got a little physical play to his game. He's got, I think, a nice offensive touch as well he's got some good finishing ability. Is it at the elite level of finishing? No, but it's good enough to get the job done. It's good enough, in my opinion, Jared, to see this guy be a 20, 25, maybe even a 30 goal scorer in this league throughout the course of his career. We all as a collective here at the Ice Guys show, me, Alex, my co-host and co-founder, the viewers and listeners, we all can't sing enough praises for Josh Doan. So we're in the same boat as you. We're singing from the same songbook, Jared.
It's you know what? The two biggest assets that Josh has is he's a sponge for knowledge and he's driven. So he wants to learn every time you're on the ice with him. He's always asking questions. He's always wanting feedback. And then he puts in the effort. I'm very fortunate and lucky to be on the ice with him in Stankoven when I'm running the skates here in Kamloops. And to see those guys end of August when you put a battle drill together.
We now know who's truly responsible for the two of them being this good. Yeah.
But they're compete together. They're buddies, but they go to war to want to win that puck in a battle drill. And then they're the first person to tap each other on the pads, great battle, because they know they're getting better from doing that. And it's such a rare thing nowadays to see guys that driven. And, I'm fortunate with a lot of the NHL guys I work with that they are like that because they have to be. But, you just hope that the young guys that are on the ice with those guys, and I mean, they're both young, Josh and Logan are both young guys, but to recognize that it's not just their skill level. They're two completely different players that put up similar numbers this year. You know what I mean? One guy's a grit and grind kind of guy. The other guy's grit and grind with skill. Josh has skill, but he is not going to have the hands that Stankoven has. And both of them accepted their identity as players and grew it. And it's, there's a lot to be said about that because too many people try and be just a skilled guy. And that doesn't work. So Josh found his role, his niche, and guys love him in the room. Guys love to work with him. And then same with Stankoven. So it's fun to see both of them doing well.
No doubt. And it's obviously a little bit of a coincidence, but it's just crazy that the two players you mentioned prominent here in the playoffs that you've dealt with as far as coaching and helping them develop, Logan Stankoven and Josh Doan, they truly are two of our favorite players of this show. we've just been singing their praises. And yeah, Josh Doan's a fun player to watch. He's only going to get better. You're right, because as you said, he's got the desire to always learn, adjust, get better. This is a guy that you could clearly see him. Like, look at Corey Perry, for example. Corey Perry's a guy that scored a shit ton of goals early in his career, a fucking tremendous offensive player, but learned later in his career, let's adjust our game a bit. We're getting up there in age. I want to stay in the league. I want to keep playing, do things a little bit differently than I did when I was 25, 30 years old. I get the feeling, based on what you're saying with Josh Doan, he's going to be that same type of player. Yeah, there could be parts of his game that diminish with age, but he's going to find a way to adjust, recalibrate, and still be an effective player in his later years too. Have I got that right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he ends up with a letter on his jersey, just because the character he has. And I mean, he's a mini version of his dad, so it's you won't meet a better person than his dad either. So it goes without saying that, when you're a good person and you're driven and you have the skill set you need to play at that level, you can establish yourself a pretty long career.
Yeah, no question. Oh, there's a great comment I figured I'd highlight it here. I was fortunate enough to watch Logan Stankoven play against my Seattle Thunderbirds in the Western Hockey League, and he was with the Kamloops Blazers. We had some good playoff series against them. Man, he was so good. Yeah, he was. He was a great junior player. I'll never forget how great he was with Canada at the World Juniors as well, World Junior Hockey Championship. I think we might have been talking about how good he was at the World Juniors.
Oh, yeah. No, he takes the game serious. And you have to if you want to get better. And, he's a guy that even though he signed a big ticket, he doesn't take that for granted. And I think that's a big thing for any.
Yeah, no question. Yeah.
Just keep pushing, keep getting better, and be driven. He wants to be one of the best players. So go get it.
Yeah, and what a playoffs he's had for Logan for Carolina, and obviously Josh for Buffalo. Couple injury notes. Noah Ostlund's still out. Buffalo's been talking for a few days now about Sam Carrick, and I really want to see Sam Carrick suit up for the Buffalo Sabres here in the playoffs, because he's one of these players, Jared, I think could be a huge playoff performer for them. I think he is just built for the playoffs, Sam Carrick.
He's a guy you'd choose to go to war with. He doesn't know what non-compete means. Like he's full throttle all the time. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He'll fight anybody. He'll do whatever he has to do to give his team the best chance to win. And I think when you have those kind of warriors in your lineup, it's infectious, and it's why teams have success. And even in the past, some of the best playoff players weren't guys that did a whole lot during the regular season, but were very similar to Carrick, where they have that character and impact on their teammates. When the big games are on the line, they'll be a difference maker.
Yeah, no question. Rich in Vancouver, one of our absolute favorite viewers and listeners of this show for years, says wonder if Jared has worked with Dylan Holloway on St. Louis, another one of our favorites. He is one of our favorites. And I know there's the Edmonton Oilers fans still pounding or punching air, as they say, that they lost him and decided, hey, we won't match that offer sheet that St. Louis gave him. They still miss Dylan Holloway Edmonton to this day.
Oh, big time. I haven't gotten a chance to work with them, but I have worked with a lot of players who either are retired now and played with them, or guys who shot on Stuart Skinner. Well, Stuart Skinner came out to our camp last year. Curtis Lazar, and then obviously Lazar's there after. But Mike Smith's a really good friend of mine, and Derek Ryan was another good friend of mine. We played together in Sweden before he came over to North America, and nothing but good things about him. Huge mistake on Edmonton. I find that Edmonton likes to make huge mistakes on players they get rid of.
But the first time won't be the last time.
No, exactly. Like I don't think I'm a GM by any means, but some of the decisions I see on that team, when it doesn't add up, and obviously there's salary cap and all that stuff. But I think that was a huge loss for Edmonton to lose Holloway, and but I love what he's doing. It's the best thing to do when someone doesn't re-sign you is to silently give them the middle finger with your play, and he's doing a great job of that.
Yeah, no doubt. Great, Jonathan. Yes, good point by Jonathan Carrick. Still in a non-contact jersey at the skate today. Yes, and that's why I still think he's at least, I would say, probably a few. But you'd have to probably. We're thinking maybe latter part of this series, probably if he comes back. And I don't even know if he's going to be 100% if he does come back. But just having him in there, yeah, he'd be such a great player.
Yeah, a player like him is when you play the way he does. You want to make sure you're still effective and not just a certain.
Yeah, it's a rugged style times 10 with Sam Carrick. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to make sure you're at least pretty darn close to being 100% if you want to make a difference with his style of play.
Yeah, no question. As far as props for this game, I just want to talk about shots on goal. Rasmus Dahlin's gone over 2.5 shots in 4 straight games. It's a minus 145 or so. I mean, he's been shooting the puck more, Rasmus Dahlin. There's no question from the blue line for Buffalo. Our guy, Josh Doan, has gone over 1.5 shots on goal in 2 straight games for the Sabres. Nick Suzuki over 2.5 shots in 2 straight games for the Montreal Canadiens. I'm just going to keep going to the well with Zach Benson, goal assist, Josh Doan, goal assist. Those 2 guys on that line, I think they're always, whenever I watch them in the playoffs, they're making something happen. Even on the shifts they don't score, I mean, they're dangerous. They're threatening, and the other team knows it. So I think there's always worth a shot there with the way they're playing, Benson and Doan. Ryan McLeod, who they got in the Matt Savoy deal. Matt Savoy, of course, went from Buffalo to Edmonton, and I know the Sabres didn't love parting ways with Matt Savoy, but they got Ryan McLeod in return, and this is where Ryan McLeod pays dividends for you a little bit. He got a big goal for them in Game 1 on the power play. Playing with Quinn and Zucker. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Norris, too. I mean, you're right. I mean, Norris has been the one player since he's been with Doan and Benson on the third line. It's been a little quiet, but you would think at some point he's going to get going, too. There's no question, especially playing with those 2 guys that just work their rear ends off every time they're out on the ice. And I keep saying Peyton Krebs has got some pretty good prop value because he plays with Thompson and Tuck on the top line. And he's not priced as expensively as Thompson and Tuck. You have to pay a bigger price for Thompson to get a point, Tuck to get a point. Peyton Krebs to get a point, it's only plus 120, plus 125. You get a great price on that. And he's on the top line. We love those situations where someone's on the top line and they're getting priced much cheaper than their line mates. It obviously makes for great value. Yeah, Bo Byram, as far as assist or goal props or point props, for sure. He's been terrific. I mean, you're now seeing why they got him and why his experience of being on a cup winner with Colorado, it's shining through right now with the Buffalo Sabres in Bo Byram. He's been great, so I don't mind looking at goal assist props for him. As far as Montreal, I think Slavkovsky, I think he's ready to maybe finally find the net again. It's been a little bit of a cool down for him after that red-hot start to the Tampa series. I could see him finding maybe the back of the net. I'm trying to see what kind of changes they've made here. I still see Newhook, Evans, Ivan Demidov, the second line, Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky's going to stay the same. Tessier, Deneau, Anderson on the third line. Josh Anderson's another one of those players, kind of like a Sam Carrick for Buffalo. That's a guy that elevates his play in the playoffs, especially he's going to give you, believe it or not, a little more offense in the playoffs than he does in the regular season. And we saw that from Josh Anderson in the first round against Tampa. So I think even a small goal prop shot with him is worth a look. And even Bull Duke, I think, has given them some good minutes. And Doc, for that matter, who had an outstanding effort goal where he's fallen down and still somehow gets the backhand over the glove of Alex Lyon in Game 1. Those 2 guys down on the fourth line have started to make a few things happen. Before we shift to Vegas, Anaheim, the second game, Jared, 2 players, Tage Thompson. I think he's the one guy that could elevate a little bit more. I think he's been a little quiet here these last few games for Buffalo. Now, again, they're up 1-0 in the second round. We're not going to go crazy that Tage Thompson's been quiet, but I think he could step up. And what are your thoughts on what I mentioned with Bo Byram and the impact he's made?
I was fortunate enough to work with Bo 2 years ago. He came out to Kelowna for the summer and skated with us, and he's a character guy. Like, he's hilarious. He's always bantering with the guys on the ice, having fun, setting up little competitions. He loves to bust your chops, and so I think he's a guy that has the respect of his teammates. He keeps it loose. He keeps it fun. They respect him. They know he's going to go out there and go to war, even though he's not the biggest guy in the world. But he'll keep it light, and he'll keep it honest. He'll challenge you when things aren't going, but he'll also loosen you up too. And so I think he's going to be a difference maker. I think he's got the skill to do it. He loves hockey. I think he loves being in Buffalo and seeing the success they're having this year. So I think he's he'll make a statement tonight. And I think, like you said, I think Tage Thompson, you can only cage a beast like that for so long, and he's gonna make it a test for Montreal, especially with us thinking that they're gonna come out on top. If he wakes up, then it's gonna be a tough game tonight. So it's gonna be a fun one to watch. I was excited about this round. I was rooting for this round. Once it went to Game 7 with Tampa, I was hopeful and wasn't looking so good there for a bit, but they found a way, and so this is my favorite series to watch right now, just because the emotion and from both fan bases and just the excitement from both teams just to be where they are right now, and whoever wins is in their conference finals. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and the tradition, obviously, of these two teams, like I said, age-old division rivals, and met in the playoffs some 30 years ago, 30, 35, 40 years ago. And definitely, like I said, I think a lot of hockey fans were certainly looking forward to. Perlo made a decent point in our chat earlier saying, worried about Dobish maybe fatigue a little bit. There's a lot of games he's played this year, especially at the NHL level, when, there's definitely by far the most NHL games he's played in a single season, and he had to face a lot of pucks against Tampa Bay, especially in Game 7. Is he starting to wear down fatigue? I'm not going to rush to that yet. Let's see what he looks like tonight, but it's something to monitor for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He has been worked hard.
That's the thing about goaltending is if you haven't been in those situations before, then the wear and tear, mental fatigue, all that stuff can add up. I know his strength coach, I'm a buddy of his, Jeff Lavecchio in St. Louis, and he's pretty dialed. So I'm going to trust that he's got Dobish in a place where he's fine and ready to go. The nice thing for him is he's still young, so the demand he can take, and then it's just whether he can mentally tell himself he's not tired.
Yeah, it's not just physical fatigue; it's mental fatigue too. Trust me. Fatigue is not just how you feel physically, not in this sport. That is for sure. All right, West second round, Game 3, the late game, the nightcap. So this will be the evening game for Jared and anyone on the West Coast there. We got Vegas, Anaheim, -110, even money both sides. 6 the total. Series tied at 1. I think through 2 games, Anaheim's actually carried more of the play. Now, I think in Game 1, Vegas played okay, solid. They got the win in Game 1. Yet I still don't think Vegas played great in Game 1. I know they got outshot something like 31-21, something like that. It's just their penalty kill was great, and Anaheim really couldn't generate much with the power play. Now, their power play didn't improve in Game 2, but Anaheim was better at 5-on-5.
Anaheim's such a fast transition team.
Yeah.
Don't
forget, Jared, Vegas struggled with that against Utah in the first round a little bit. These turnovers in the neutral zone, and then Utah was just gone, and it was in the back of the net.
Yeah, and I mean, just even in the Edmonton series, the way Anaheim gets out of the zone and their transition game, their breakouts, they play fast and they get up ice quick, and then they try and smother you, and they do a good job of that. I think, Vegas, they have the experience. They're a good hockey team. They went through a lot of adversity this year. I think they gave up a big key piece in Zach Whitecloud on the back end there. Not to name drop, but another guy I was lucky to work with who in my opinion, is one of the most underrated D in the league, having gotten to experience time on the ice with him last summer.
He's a know your identity, know your role player, and just, know what your strengths are, and just be the absolute best you can at what you do well. And Whitecloud's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, exactly. And so Vegas hasn't found their consistency within their identity yet. It's kind of just, you look at the Utah series, like how many games where they were losing and then they found a way to win. And you got to love and acknowledge the character of being able to have those bounce back wins, but eventually those are going to catch up to you. And I don't think a game of catch up with Anaheim is ideal. And so if Anaheim continues, I thought they had a slow start last game, where Vegas was, kind of taking it to them a little bit. But then once Anaheim came back, then it seemed like a pretty easy win for them.
I think that and what I've been impressed with Anaheim is we know Vegas, when they're on their game, they can check, they can shut it down, they can get great goaltending from Carter Hart, and they can play that good defensive game. Although, to your point, they do miss that. They would have probably been even stronger at the defensive end of the ice as a collective blue line if they still had Zach Whitecloud, because you look at the blue line the way it is now, it's almost like it's, we got Theodore's good at both ends. McNabb's still one of those road grader defensemen. He's going to plow you through the boards and, be physical and block shots like crazy. But then you've got a lot of puck movers too now on this blue line. Theodore Anderson, who came over from Calgary at the trade deadline. Noah Hannafin, now came over last year at the trade deadline. Now you have Jeremy Lozon too, who's more of your stay-at-home defenseman as well. And you got Ben Hutton and Dylan Coughlin now, it looks like, as your third pair on the blue line. So there's a little bit of questions there about that 5-6 on the blue line right now for the Vegas Golden Knights.
It's funny because I work with Shea Theodore in the summers and Caden Korzak and Dylan Coughlin, and I'm a huge fan. Obviously, Theodore speaks for itself.
Yeah, so Theodore, tremendous. Yeah.
Caden Korzak, how he carries himself in the summers and how he works. He's a guy that I think will have a bright future. I don't know the thought process on taking him out to put Cogs in. I love Cogs too, but
it looks like Caden Korzak is a health bomb tonight. Sure looks that way. Yep.
Yeah. So it's there's obviously a reason behind it, but I know it's nice to see the young guys I know getting in there now and playing. But yes, again, it's finding that consistency in the most important time of the year and just doing your job, what's expected of you, and nothing more.
No doubt. From what I see here, John Tortorella said after game one, he didn't think he said, I don't think we played that well. And if he thought that way after game one, what the hell did he think after game two? Because I thought in game two it was actually worse. And you give Anaheim credit. What I loved about Anaheim, and gosh, Joel Quenneville's done such a freaking great job. Just an incredible job, because this team looked out of sorts, a mess in their own end. They couldn't do anything well last year. Now, look, they didn't love Greg Cronin, clearly. That's well documented now that there were issues, Cronin with the players. It just didn't work. But Joel Quenneville was the second winningest head coach in NHL history, behind only the great Scotty Bowman. Think about that. There's only one coach that's won more games in the NHL than Joel Quenneville, and it's Scotty Bowman, who's probably going to be untouchable when it comes to the most wins in NHL history. And multiple cups with Chicago. And what he has done with this team, you talk about buy-in, to play better away from the puck. All these young kids are doing it. How about the way they shut that game down once they got up 2-0 against Vegas the other night after the Leo Carlsson goal? And how well they defended from that point on. Dostal was great, but the defensive play was great. Blocking shots, clearing out the front of the net, doing all those little things. For Quenneville to instill this group that looked like a freaking disaster at times defensively last year, and get them to be able to close out playoff games on the road with a lead. I mean, it's just it's incredible how quick this team has come around. And I'll let you talk about him too, Leo Carlsson. He's going to be big time. I can't believe just the smarts, the defensive awareness. Obviously, he's got skill. He's got vision. He's got playmaking. He can pass. He's got an underrated shot and finishing ability. Leo Carlsson's going to be a heck of a player. And I think, the only thing I would say is be even more physical than you are now. And look out. Leo Carlsson's going to have a hell of a career.
It's funny because, having played in Sweden, those Swedish players like the Leo Carlssons, guys like that, they mature. They seem so much more mature than they are. Just the way they carry themselves, just the way they show up to get better every day. And he's a guy who, not too many people watch too much of, just because it's the Anaheim Ducks who who don't get a huge following. But he can do everything. You can put him in any situation. You can put him against the best players in the world, and he'll still shut them down and still find a way to produce. That he, like you said, everybody always has things they can improve on, and if he can figure out ways to use his size a little bit better, but the way he moves for a big body and the hands he has, the vision he has, and how he can execute things, the way he executes things is way above average. It's elite level, and I think he's going to have a long career. He's going to be, I think his name's going to be in a different capacity than Backstrom, in the sense that Backstrom was more of a playmaker, but Karlsson and Backstrom and those offensive Swedish legends are going to be, he's going to become one of them. So he's got a really, really bright future.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's no question. And by the way, I can't sign off on, Connor McDavid wasn't 100%. Leon Draisaitl wasn't 100%. That's why they were, shut down, and they didn't do it. Let's give Leo some credit. Leo had to go up against those players in the first round against the Edmonton Oilers. Give him some of the credit for that as well. So John Tortorella has made a bunch of lineup changes for this game tonight, which I'm not shocked by. They haven't had the puck enough. They haven't generated enough offensively in the first two, even in the win in game one. It's not like they generated a ton, and they only had barely over 20 shots. And he's been talking about this in the media the last couple of days. We just got to have the puck more, and we got to just do a better job of spending more time in the offensive zone, which was clearly an issue in game two in this series, where it felt like Anaheim. It was clearly in Vegas' zone a lot more than the other way around. So it looks like he's got our guy close shave Barbashev. He's got Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, Mark Stone as the top line tonight, Brett Howden, William Karlsson, and Mitch Marner on the second line. And Brett Howden's become one of our favorites. We've been betting props with him like crazy during this little surge he's had here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He'll be with William Karlsson and Mitch Marner. Pavel Dorofeyev with Tomas Hertl and Keegan Colasar on the third line. And then Cole Smith, Nick Dowd, Colton Sissons on the fourth line for the Vegas Golden Knights. So a little bit of a line blender job here for John Tortorella, trying to get something going here for Vegas tonight. Anaheim, it looks like Mason McTavish, still a healthy scratch for tonight. And look, coach's decision, and he was a healthy scratch, obviously, in game two for the Anaheim Ducks against Vegas, and they won that game 3-1. They played a heck of a game. So I would anticipate the lineup's probably going to stay the same. The age-old theory, don't adjust a winning lineup. Lacombe, Trouba, Minchikov, Karlsson, Hines, and Hellison. So it looks like status quo on the blue line here for Anaheim as well. Look, I've got Anaheim and Vegas to go 6-7 in this series. I bet it before the series to go 6, series to go 7. And I said, and I decided I was going to take Anaheim 4-2, 4-3, Vegas 4-2, 4-3, because if just one of those possibilities happens, you're going to profit. That's all it has to happen, is that if it goes 6 games, you're going to profit with that kind of approach. So I'm in pretty good shape now. We still got to get to game 6. Can someone win 3 games in a row in this series and win in 5? It could happen. I don't think it's going to, but we are in good shape at the moment for this series to go at least 6 games. But for me, from a side perspective, you would think zigzag, right? Competitive series, close series, Vegas game 1, Anaheim game 2, maybe take Vegas game 3 to bounce back tonight. But Anaheim's 3-0 at the Honda Center. They won every home game against Edmonton in the first round. 3-0 in the playoffs at home. Last line change should really benefit them. Get matchups for Leo's line and the second line away from Vegas's top, D pair and checking line. And I like the momentum Anaheim has. And I know that building's going to be rocking. Jared, I couldn't believe how loud that place was in the first round against Edmonton. It was actually a very loud building, and I didn't see that coming from the Honda Center in Anaheim. And everything I've heard is that they're way into this playoff run in this team right now in the Orange County area. So I'm gonna take Anaheim here to roll that momentum into a Game 3 victory here tonight in Game 3. I'm going to go with the Ducks here. Quack, 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 quack. There's my Duck sound. Anaheim, -110. And I am going to bet over 6 here. This is the venue change theory. You had 2 unders in Game 1 and Game 2. A lot of times the venue shifts to Game 3, and if it was 2 unders in the first 2 games, Game 3 goes over. Now, it didn't work with Philly, Carolina last night, but it had opportunities and did almost get there. This one, I think it'll end up being the highest scoring game of the series. And it's worth noting the 3 games at Honda Center in the first round against Edmonton, 7 goals or more in all 3 of those games against the Oilers. Now, Vegas doesn't want that. Vegas doesn't want to have the game go that way. They want to keep it, tighter and lower scoring. But I think Anaheim might force them into that kind of game here tonight. So I will take over 6 here with Vegas, Anaheim tonight. Probably sprinkle on the first period over as well. And Anaheim split between the money line -110 and a little bit on that team total over as well. Now, it does concern me that Carter Hart's played well. Even in the loss in game 2, I thought Carter Hart played really well in defeat for Vegas. But I just think Anaheim's got a lot of momentum. And the more I watch the cumulative 2 games of this series so far, I think, wow, my eye test tells me Anaheim's looked like the better team. What do your eyes see, Jared, and what do you think for game 3 tonight?
I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think it's going to be where someone runs up the score a little bit and the other team. I think Anaheim's going to run up the score and then Vegas is going to chase it and make it close. I think that, Anaheim's feeling good right now. They're going back home where they do feel really good there. They're going to play fast. They're going to play hard. They're going to get caught behind because I think there's too much lineup changes. By no means do I know more than Tortorella, but I think that when you shake things up too much, then it might work out in the last 2 periods, but the first period, there's going to be a lot of trying to create that chemistry with your new line mates and figure things out. And I think that's where Anaheim's going to take the lead. And then they'll squeak it out with I think they're going to get a 1-goal win, maybe a 4-3 hockey game. There
you go. All right. Yeah, I think Anaheim's going to. I think this series could go like Vegas Utah did, where Vegas won game 1, but then they lost. Remember, they lost the next 2 games of that Utah series. They lost game 2 at home, and then they went to Delta Center in Utah, and they lost game 3 as well. And then in game 4 in Utah, they tied up the series 2-2. I think Anaheim's going to take 2 in a row here in this series. I just like the way they have played. In this series, and they've been great at home. So I like them at this price here tonight. As far as John Carlson from the blue line for Anaheim, shots on goal, he's gone over 1.5 in 6 straight games. Mikael Granlund, Leo Carlson, Jacob Trouba, they've all gone over their shots on goal in 2 straight games. I think this could be a Cutter Gauthier night too. He did go over 3.5 shots in game 2. He seems to historically shoot the puck even more at home. In home games. So Cutter Gauthier from a shots perspective, could be worth a look. We keep talking about how Shea Theodore, his point prop is worth a look. Ryan Paling's been an unsung hero for Anaheim as far as a depth forward that's made an impact. His point prop is a very tantalizing price, plus 200 or so. That's good value. Even our guy, Beckett Seneca, he's got a good plus price for his point prop here as well tonight. Goal props, we're still going to take Brett Howden, even though he finally didn't score a goal in game 2. He's still been dangerous. Barbashev on that top line, there's probably good goal prop value for him. There's other props I'm looking at as well. Check the Patreon page. We'll have them all posted later in the day. But looking forward to this game. This series just got real interesting, in my opinion, with Anaheim getting out of Vegas with a split 1-1. And now there's definitely a sense now that, hey, Vegas got their hands full in this series. I think there were some people, Jared, that weren't sure about that after game 1. I think they're sure about that now after game 2, that Vegas is going to have their hands full here in this series.
Yeah, I think Anaheim has been kind of surprising everybody. I didn't expect, even though I didn't have high expectations for the Oilers, I didn't think that Anaheim was going to walk through them that easily. And now they're showing Vegas, like, you're going to have to earn every inch, and we're not going to give you much. So they play fast, they have fun, they look like they're super connected. Everything to each other is predictable, but not to the other teams. And when you get teams like that, it's very dangerous. And so they're fun to watch right now, and something I didn't expect to say or think during the playoffs, but here I am and enjoying watching how they're playing.
So the only series we haven't talked about yet, Jared's going to run in a couple minutes. We've got Minnesota, Colorado. I'll just let you have the floor on this one. Colorado's up 2-0. We've made the comment on this show a lot that without Joel Eriksson Ek, the Minnesota Wild are on a 1-8 slide in their last 9 playoff games without Joel Eriksson Ek in the lineup. He does matter. I mean, to face-offs, defensive awareness, He chips in offensively for you. I mean, it's a huge loss. He hasn't played yet in this series. They're also without Jonas Brodin. There's no telling yet from John Hines if either are going to be available for Game 3, which is essentially a must-win game or close to it for Minnesota. But what do you think about Wild and Avs?
That one's tough. I think the statement that McKinnon made last game by running over Hughes and Boldy is something that's infectious amongst their team. When you see one of the best players in the world go out there and make a statement like that and show that, I'm not just a guy who can produce, I'm going to compete. It's infectious to the rest of the team. And I know that McKinnon's a guy who demands a lot out of his teammates, but goes out there and does the job. I think if Minnesota gets the goaltending they had in the first round, if those guys can make some big saves to keep Minnesota in it, then there's going to bring some life back to that bench and some belief that they can beat that Colorado powerhouse. So you get some really good goaltending and, find ways to put it in the net and keep that Colorado force from owning the offensive zone. And Minnesota's got a chance. Like they're a dangerous team, and you can't look past the fact that just because they're down 2-0 that they don't have a chance to stay in it. Obviously, the difference I do think as well is the Ekman or Ek factor with him not in the lineup. He's a big body. He competes.
Yeah.
He can score goals, and he does the little things, the second effort to create opportunities. And right now, relying on Boldy and Kaprizov to be the guys to score against a team that has guys who can't just score but can actually bulldoze you as well is tough to play against. So I hope it's a series that goes more than a 4-0 sweep, but it's hard to see Colorado losing any of their mojo right now.
No doubt. I'm going to sprinkle on the draw on the two games tonight too. Just a gut feel that we might see some overtime. I could see it in Anaheim. I could even see it in Buffalo tonight. And again, if just one of them goes to overtime, it's profit. So I'm going to dabble in that just a little bit. Jared, this has been awesome. We'll see if we can get you back on later in the playoffs. But before we let you run, bargain bin special tonight. I mentioned this to you. Someone down the board that you think makes an impact, scores a goal tonight. What pick do you think you'd make for like a player that you expect, not your top line player, not your big star, that you think scores a goal, makes an impact tonight in either of the two games?
I'm going to say Josh Anderson scores tonight for Montreal.
Good one. He's been a bargain bin choice for me before in the playoffs.
I think he's due. I think he's going to be a guy that wants to set the tempo and make a bunch of believers out of his teammates. So I'll go with him.
There you go. I like it. I mean, that he's going to be one of the smaller take a flyer, smaller shot goal props for me at plus 640. The price with that, and you're right. He's just one of those players that in the regular season, plods along at times, but boy, in the playoffs, just has a way of elevating, especially offensively. He just scores. His offensive game is more prevalent and obvious and omnipresent in the playoffs compared to the regular season. All right, your best pick for the night. What do you got for us with that? What are you most confident in winning tonight?
Most confident in who's going to win tonight?
Yeah,
I'd probably say Anaheim.
So you're on board with me there. I mean, I like that. I like hearing that. I just think they look better. They're going to be good at home. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to get up by 2 or 3, and then it's going to be a close one. I think they'll either win by 1 or in regulation or in overtime. But I think they're dangerous at home, and to me, they don't ever stress. They just play, and I think that's it's a characteristic that should be applauded in the playoffs. That you don't buckle or feel the pressure. You just go out and play, and I think they're doing that right now.
There you go. Anaheim is the side for me in that game too. So there you go, Anaheim minus 110 for Jared. Liking that most of all with best bet for this Friday. Great stuff. That's a wrap. We'll let you go because I got to run some commercial advertisements and that. We'll finish off the show right after that. But this was great. We wish you all the best success, of course, living out in the West Coast with the skills coaching work. And, I think probably conference finals or even the Stanley Cup final. in June, we'll get you back on one more time to talk about that series. But anything you want to add before we let you go?
Nope, not really. Just thanks for having me. I always appreciate being on here, and obviously in the past you shared my story, and so that's always appreciated. But always know that if good players aren't doing well, or players you expect big things out of, there might be underlying circumstances. In my situation, it was my shoulder, but to be a good person first, even when you're a sports fan, not just think it's okay to rip someone apart just because they're having an off day or an off week, or not the player you expected them to be. It's we're all humans, and just enjoy living, enjoy life, and don't focus on the negative.
Yeah, and there's like I said, there's always some negatives, but there's also a lot of positives going on, especially with player performances in the playoffs. And it's always a good reminder, talk about the good stuff, from time to time. But you're right, media loves bad stuff. Bad sells, bad gets clicks, bad gets views. That's the way it always works in the media world. There's no question about that. And we've also learned here on the show today that Jared Allen's the special ingredient to the great success we're seeing here with Logan Stankoven and Josh Doan right now in the NHL. Of course, I'm half kidding when I say that. Obviously,
yeah, like Logan got some other skills coaches too. I'm a small fraction of his success, but it's always fun to get on.
But you're still like a proud dad a little bit when you see those guys.
I'm very proud, especially when they're good people first. You always want to see the success come with that. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Jared, it's been a blast, man. Just great talking hockey with you. It always is when you join the show. Enjoy your weekend coming up, and we'll get you on the show before the end of the season once again.
Perfect. Thank you, and good luck to everybody.
Good stuff. There it is. Jared Allen, our guest here on this Friday edition of the show. And great timing to have Jared as a guest because of Alex obviously being away back home in Chicago. By the way, Alex will be back tomorrow on the Saturday edition of the Ice Guys show. So make sure you join us for that. He'll be back on the show tomorrow. And like I said, very excited about the two games tonight. I really am. I'm excited. No question about that. So make sure you get on board at Wizards. First of all, Wizard Sports Picks. First of all, hit the like button. Appreciate it very much. That was a great time talking hockey with Jared Allen. Also, wizardsportspicks.com. Make sure you check it out there. Daily premium picks, long-term subscriptions as well. Make sure you check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. It's Wizard Friday at the website. So daily premium picks discounted to $4.99 and $9.99 respectively on the website today. So make sure you check that out, wizardsportspicks.com. And, of course, patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. We have 2 Patreon-exclusive live betcasts coming up next week, okay? So make sure you are a Patreon member to be part of those betcasts next week. We're going to, once again, one of them will be from an Eastern Conference series. One of the betcasts will be from a Western Conference series. So once again, make sure you check out the Patreon exclusive live betcasts coming up next week. And again, become a member, $10 per month. And again, your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. So make sure you get on board, $10 per month. And the Dub Club subscription discount, which is $50 off a 1-month Dub Club All Sports subscription with me. $50 off discount is still there, and it's only available to Patreon Ice Guys members on the Patreon page. That is still available. I'm going to keep that available all summer as well, because to be honest with you, I like that people get charged less when we hit June, July, and it's just MLB and CFL taking place for the majority of the summer. So that discount that's only available on the Patreon page will be in effect all summer. So get on board at patreon.com/iceguys. And of course, check out the Ice Guys store. Get your gear and merch over at the Ice Guys store. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Sorry about that. Bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Walk away, leave it
All right, bargain bin special of the night. You heard from Jared. He went with Josh Anderson at plus 640 for his bargain bin special of the night. I had a harder time coming up with bargain bin specials tonight. Nothing really jumped off the page toward a bargain bin special for me tonight for these two games. But I am going to go with for bargain bin special of the night here from the Montreal. I'm going to give you one from each game. Montreal, Buffalo. I'm going to go with Lane Hudson from Montreal, plus 800 to score a goal. I find, he has been willing to shoot the puck a little bit more here in these playoffs. I think in a night where, you're seeing some of the big guns struggling a bit, Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky slowed down since the beginning of the Tampa series. Ivan Demidov's had a hard time finding the back of the net. Lane Hudson could take the onus on him to get going a little bit. So Lane Hudson at plus 800 for my first bargain bin special of the night. My second bargain bin special of the night for this Friday slate, I'm going to roll with for a bargain bin special one more time. Brett Howden for Vegas at plus 400. Plus 400 at Bet99 is the best price I see with that. Like I said, he scored in majority of his recent games. He's still on the second line, even with Tortorella's line changes tonight and lineup changes. It looks like Brett Howden is still going to be with William Karlsson and Mitch Marner on the second line tonight. And Mitch Marner loves dishing the puck. So Brett Howden could be on the receiving end of that. So Brett Howden plus 400 for Vegas, and Lane Hudson plus 800 for Montreal for my two bargain bin specials for this Friday night. All right, best bets. Montreal, bleu, blanc, rouge, le Canadien. Montreal plus 115. I like them. I think they even up the series. They haven't lost two games in a row here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I expect a response from them here tonight. Let's not forget Buffalo, after winning game one against Boston, they failed to go up 2-0 in that series. Boston tied the series at 1 in game two. And I think Montreal ties up this series tonight with a game 2 victory. Montreal Canadiens plus 118 is actually plus 120s are still out there at some books. Okay, there we go. Plus 120. Best price available for the Montreal Canadiens. We'll go with that for best bet for this Friday NHL slate. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Jared Allen, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back Saturday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.